9-year-old Caleb lay motionless on the asphalt, blood pooling beneath his head. Harmony, a black cleaning lady, was walking by when she saw the little boy sprawled there, motionless and helpless. While other people fled the scene, some slowing to stare at the small body near the corporate towers, others shaking their heads as if accidents like this happened every day, Harmony didn't. She knelt beside the broken child, clutching his red backpack, and quickly called the one phone number she had never called before. Hello. Welcome back to Eva's Stories. I truly appreciate your love and support. If you are enjoying this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video and comment where you are watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories. And trust me, you won't want to miss them. Now, let's continue. The 42nd floor of Bennett Tech Tower hummed with the electric tension of closing time. Tyler Bennett stood at the head of the polished conference table, his navy blue suit wrinkled from 14 hours of negotiations. Sweat beaded along his hairline despite the climate control. Across from him, 3 executives from Meridian Industries shuffled papers with the careful precision of men handling dynamite. The patents alone are worth $8 billion, Tyler said, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. Add our AI infrastructure and you're looking at the deal of the decade. Jake Hoffman, his business partner since Stanford, leaned forward. The red tie he'd worn to every major negotiation hung loose around his neck. Meridian's final offer stands at $11.7 billion. Take it or leave it. Tyler's jaw tightened. Outside the conference room windows, Seattle's skyline glittered in the early winter darkness. He'd built this empire from nothing. Every line of code, every patent, every sleepless night had led to this moment. The biggest tech acquisition in Pacific Northwest history. His phone buzzed against the table. Unknown number. He glanced at the screen and pushed it aside. $12 billion, Tyler said. Not a penny less. The Meridian CEO, a silver-haired man named Douglas Kane, drummed his fingers on the table. You're bleeding talent, Bennett. Half your development team jumped ship to Google last quarter. What makes you think your company's worth that much? Heat flashed behind Tyler's eyes. Because in 5 years, quantum computing will own the market. And we hold the keys. His phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Tyler's assistant knocked and cracked open the door. Mr. Bennett? There's a call. Not now, Sandra. Tyler didn't look away from Kane's calculating stare. We're in the middle of something. Sandra hesitated. Sir, they said it was about your son. The room went dead quiet. Tyler's stomach dropped like an elevator with cut cables. He snatched the phone, his thumb hovering over the answer button. Caleb was supposed to be safe. Frank always picked him up from school on Tyler's custody days. Always. But something deep in his gut, some primal father's instinct, made him swipe to answer. This is Tyler Bennett. The voice that came through was soft, female, shaking with barely controlled panic. Mr. Bennett? My name is Harmony Davis. I work nights cleaning your building. Sir, your little boy. He's hurt real bad. He's unconscious on Pine Street, right outside your building. The conference room tilted. Tyler gripped the edge of the table, his knuckles white against the dark wood. What? No, that's impossible. My son is. Sir, the ambulance is coming, but I stayed with him. He's breathing, but he won't wake up. There was an accident. The words hit Tyler like physical blows. I'm coming. Don't leave him. Do you understand me? Don't leave him. I won't, sir. I promise. Tyler ended the call and stared at the room full of executives. $12 billion sat on the table, waiting for his signature. The deal he'd worked 3 years to close. Gentlemen, he said, his voice hollow. We'll have to continue this tomorrow. Kane frowned. Bennett, this offer expires at midnight. You walk away now. My son is hurt. Tyler was already moving toward the door, grabbing his coat from the back of his chair. The deal can wait. Tyler. Jake stood, his face pale with concern. Is Caleb okay? I don't know. Tyler's hands shook as he pulled on his coat. I don't know anything. He ran for the elevator, leaving $12 billion and 3 years of work behind without a second thought. Meanwhile, 37 floors below, Harmony Davis pushed her cleaning cart through the empty lobby, the wheels squeaking against the marble floor. Her bright yellow uniform felt heavy after 10 hours on her feet, but she only had 2 more floors to go. The night shift at Bennett Tech paid better than any cleaning job she'd ever had, even if she never saw another soul during her work. The lobby's massive chandeliers cast dancing shadows across the walls as she wiped down the reception desk. She hummed softly to herself, an old gospel song her grandmother used to sing. The melody echoed in the empty space, keeping her company in the silence. Through the glass doors, Pine Street stretched out into the night. A few late commuters hurried past, bundled against the November chill. Harmony checked her watch. 6:52 p.m. Almost time for her break. She was reaching for her spray bottle when she heard it. A screech of brakes. A sickening thud. Then screaming. Harmony dropped her cloth and ran to the windows. On the street, a crowd was gathering around something small and still on the asphalt. A delivery truck sat at an angle, its driver standing beside it with his hands pressed to his head. And there, in the middle of it all, was a little boy. Harmony's breath caught. She knew that bright red backpack, those tiny sneakers. She'd seen him before weeks ago, when Mr. Bennett had brought him to the office late one evening. The boy had waved at her while his father talked on the phone, and she'd waved back from behind her cart. Without thinking, Harmony burst through the glass doors and ran into the street. The boy lay motionless on the cold pavement, his dark hair matted with blood. His school uniform was torn, and his face was pale as the winter sky. But his chest rose and fell in shallow breaths. "Someone call 911. Harmony shouted, dropping to her knees beside him. She pulled off her jacket and gently placed it under his head, being careful not to move his neck. "Is he your son?" a bystander asked. "No, but I know his father." Harmony pulled out her phone with trembling fingers. She'd never called Mr. Bennett before, never even spoken to him directly. But she had his number. All the cleaning staff did, in case of emergencies in the building. As sirens wailed in the distance, Harmony stroked the boy's forehead gently. "It's okay, baby," she whispered. "Your daddy's coming. I'm going to make sure your daddy comes." She dialed the number, her heart pounding as it rang once, twice, 3 times. When Tyler Bennett's voice came through the phone, sharp and businesslike, Harmony took a shaky breath and delivered the words that would change everything. "Mr. Bennett? My name is Harmony Davis. I work nights cleaning your building. Sir, your little boy. He's hurt real bad. He's unconscious on Pine Street, right outside your building." Tyler's hands shook as he jabbed the elevator button repeatedly. The numbers crawled down with agonizing slowness. 38, 35, 32. Each floor felt like an eternity while his son lay bleeding on the street below. His mind raced through fragments of memory. This morning at 6 a.m., Caleb had called him from Rebecca's house. "Daddy, you promised we'd go to the Space Needle today. You said after school we could ride the elevator all the way to the top." Tyler had been reviewing merger documents, half listening. "Sure, buddy. Frank will pick you up at 3:30. We'll figure something out." "But you promised, Daddy. You wrote it on the calendar. You said this was our special day." "I know, Caleb. Daddy's just busy with work right now. We'll do something fun, okay?" The elevator finally reached the lobby. Tyler burst through the doors and ran past Harmony's abandoned cleaning cart, through the glass entrance, into the chaos of Pine Street. Red and blue lights painted the building walls in harsh colors. An ambulance sat with its back doors open, paramedics working frantically over a small form on a stretcher. Police officers directed traffic around the accident scene. The delivery truck driver sat on the curb, his head in his hands. And there, standing beside the ambulance, was a black woman in a bright yellow cleaning uniform. Her jacket was gone, probably used to comfort his son. She held Caleb's red backpack against her chest like something precious. Tyler ran toward the ambulance, but a police officer stepped in front of him. "Sir, you need to stay back. This is an active scene." "That's my son." Tyler's voice cracked. "I'm his father." Officer Murphy checked his notepad. "You're Tyler Bennett?" "Yes. How is he?" Is he going to be okay? The paramedic, a young woman with kind eyes, looked up from her work. He's stable, but he has a head injury. We need to get him to Seattle Children's Hospital immediately. Tyler pushed forward, desperate to see Caleb's face, but all he could make out were tiny hands and that familiar mop of dark hair against the white sheets. Can I ride with him? Family only in the ambulance. You can follow us to the hospital. I am family. I'm his father. The woman in yellow stepped forward. Her voice was the same one from the phone, soft but strong. Officer Murphy, this is Mr. Bennett. I called him. He came as fast as he could. Tyler turned to look at her properly for the first time. She was younger than he'd expected, maybe mid-30s, with gentle brown eyes and worry lines creasing her forehead. Her name tag read, Harmony Davis, Night Supervisor. You're the one who called me. Yes, sir. I was in the lobby when it happened. I saw everything. What happened? How did he get here? Harmony's expression grew pained. Your driver brought him from school, just like you said. But when they got here, Caleb didn't want to go home. He kept saying his daddy promised to spend time with him today. The driver tried to explain that you were in a meeting, but... She paused, watching Tyler's face crumble with understanding. But Caleb ran away from the car. He was trying to get to your building to find you. He made it halfway across the street when that delivery truck came around the corner. The words hit Tyler like physical blows. His son had been struck by a car while desperately trying to reach him. While Tyler sat 42 floors above, arguing over billions of dollars, his little boy was bleeding on the pavement below. Sir. The paramedic's voice cut through his shock. We really need to go now. Tyler nodded numbly and stepped back. The ambulance doors slammed shut, taking his son away into the night. The sirens wailed as they disappeared around the corner toward the hospital. Tyler stood frozen on the sidewalk, watching the taillights fade. Around him, the crowd was dispersing. The police were taking statements. Normal life was resuming, but his world had shattered completely. Mr. Bennett? Harmony's voice was gentle. Are you okay to drive? You look pretty shaken up. Tyler realized he was trembling. His vision kept blurring, and his chest felt tight. I don't know. Maybe I should call a cab. I can drive you, Harmony offered. I know it's not my place, but that little boy, he was so brave. Even when he was hurt, he kept whispering, Daddy, over and over. He loves you so much. Tyler's throat closed up. He was supposed to be safe. Frank always gets him home safely. I don't understand why he would run. Harmony looked down at the backpack in her arms. He had this with him. Maybe there's something inside that explains. She unzipped the main compartment and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. It was a child's drawing in bright crayons. 2 stick figures standing in front of a tall building with Space Needle written in shaky letters at the top. Below it, in Caleb's careful 9-year-old handwriting, Me and Daddy's Special Day, November 14th. Tyler's legs nearly gave out. He remembered now. 3 weeks ago, when Caleb was visiting for the weekend, they'd made plans. Tyler had been feeling guilty about missing so many school events, so he'd promised a special Father-Son Day. They'd marked it on the calendar together. Caleb had been so excited. But then the Meridian deal heated up. Tyler had forgotten completely. He made this for you, Harmony said softly. He was so excited to show you. He told the driver all about it in the car. How you two were going to ride the elevator to the top and see the whole city. Tyler took the drawing with shaking hands. In the corner, Caleb had drawn a tiny heart with, I love you, Daddy, written inside. I forgot, Tyler whispered. I completely forgot our day. I was so focused on the merger that I forgot my own son. Mr. Bennett. He could have died because of me. He almost died trying to reach me, and I was upstairs worried about money. Tyler's voice broke. What kind of father does that make me? Harmony stepped closer, her eyes filled with compassion. The kind who came running the second he found out his boy was hurt. The kind who left $1 billion deal to be here. That's what matters now. Tyler looked at this woman who barely knew him, who had stayed with his son when she could have walked away, who had called him when no one else would have thought to, who was offering kindness when he deserved nothing but judgment. Why did you stay with him? You could have just called 911 and left. Harmony's eyes grew distant. Because no child should be alone when they're scared. And because... She hesitated, then continued quietly. I lost my own little boy 2 years ago. Car accidents, just like this. But he was alone when it happened. No one stayed with him. The revelation hit Tyler like a punch to the chest. This woman, who had suffered her own unimaginable loss, had chosen to comfort his son. Had chosen to save a stranger's child when she couldn't save her own. I'm so sorry, Tyler said, his voice barely audible. Don't be sorry for me. Be there for Caleb. He needs his daddy now more than ever. Tyler nodded, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. Will you still drive me to the hospital? I don't think I should be behind the wheel right now. Of course. Harmony handed him Caleb's backpack. Let me just tell my supervisor I'm leaving early. There's something more important I need to do tonight. As she walked back toward the building, Tyler stared down at his son's drawing. The stick figures looked so happy, so hopeful. The little boy had believed his father would keep his promise. Had been so excited that he'd run into traffic trying to make it happen. Tyler pulled out his phone and called Jake. Tyler, how's Caleb? They're taking him to Seattle Children's. He's hurt pretty bad. Tyler's voice was hollow. Jake, I need you to handle the Meridian deal. What? Tyler, you can't be serious. This is the biggest acquisition in company history. Tell them we'll take their $11.7 billion. Whatever they want. I don't care anymore. You don't care. Tyler, you've been working on this for 3 years. Tyler looked at the drawing again, at his son's careful lettering spelling out their special day. I almost lost my son today because I cared more about money than I did about him. I'm done making that mistake. He hung up before Jake could respond. Harmony was walking back toward him, her keys in her hand. Ready? She asked. Tyler nodded, clutching his son's backpack. Thank you. For everything. I don't even know why you're helping me. Harmony smiled sadly. Because sometimes God puts us exactly where we need to be, even when we don't understand why. Especially then. They walked toward her car together, two strangers bound by tragedy and hope, racing through the Seattle night toward a little boy who just wanted his father to keep a promise. Harmony's Honda Accord weaved through evening traffic as Tyler gripped Caleb's backpack in the passenger seat. The radio played soft jazz, but the music felt wrong against the weight of everything unsaid between them. Every red light stretched like an eternity. Tyler's phone vibrated constantly. Jake called back. Sandra with urgent messages about the merger. Board members demanding updates. He declined every call, but each ring felt like an accusation. You don't have to answer those for me, Harmony said, glancing at the phone screen lighting up again. It's work. They'll survive without me for one night. Tyler's voice carried an edge he didn't intend. The guilt was eating him alive, and every kind word from this stranger made it worse. Must be important, all those calls. Nothing's more important than Caleb right now. The words came out sharp, defensive. Tyler knew he was being unfair, but he couldn't stop himself. I should have been watching him. I should have remembered our plans. Harmony navigated around a slow-moving bus. You couldn't have known he'd run into the street. I should have known. Tyler's fist clenched around the drawing. He's my son. What kind of father forgets a promise like that? The human kind, Harmony said quietly. We all make mistakes. Tyler turned to look at her. Even in the dim light from passing streetlights, he could see the exhaustion in her face. She'd worked a full shift, dealt with a traumatic accident, and now she was driving a stranger to the hospital instead of going home to rest. The guilt twisted deeper. He was taking advantage of her kindness, just like he took advantage of everyone else's dedication. His employees worked 80-hour weeks because he demanded it. His ex-wife had carried the burden of their marriage while he buried himself in code and contracts. And now this woman was sacrificing her evening because he was too shaken to drive. "You don't have to do this," Tyler said abruptly. "I can call a cab from here. You've done enough." Harmony's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "I said I'd get you to the hospital. I'll pay you for your time. For the gas. For whatever you've lost by leaving work early." The car went silent except for the hum of the engine. Harmony's jaw tightened, and Tyler realized he'd said something wrong, but he wasn't sure what. "I don't want your money, Mr. Bennett." "Tyler. And I didn't mean to offend you. I just meant—" "You meant that people like me always have a price." Her voice stayed level, but Tyler caught the hurt underneath. "That this is just another transaction for you." "That's not what I said. It's what you meant." Harmony pulled into the hospital parking garage, her movements precise and controlled. "You think I'm helping you because I expect something in return. Like I can't just care about a hurt child without wanting payment." Tyler felt heat rise in his chest. The day had been too much. The merger, the accident, the guilt, and now this woman was twisting his words when he was just trying to be grateful. "Look, I appreciate what you've done, but I don't need a lecture about my motives. I was trying to be considerate." Considerate would have been remembering your son's special day. The words came out harder than Harmony intended, and she immediately regretted them. But Tyler's assumption that she wanted money had stung deep. The car stopped in a parking space with a sharp jerk. Tyler unbuckled his seatbelt, anger and shame warring in his chest. "You're right. I'm a terrible father. Is that what you want to hear? I failed my son, I failed my marriage, and now I'm failing at basic human decency. Thank you for the reminder." Tyler grabbed the door handle, but Harmony's voice stopped him. "Mr. Bennett, wait. I shouldn't have said that." "Why not? It's true." Tyler's laugh was bitter. 3 hours ago, I was closing the biggest deal of my career. I thought I had everything figured out. Now my son is in the emergency room because I couldn't remember spending one afternoon with him." He got out of the car and started walking toward the hospital entrance. Behind him, he heard Harmony's door slam and her footsteps following. "Tyler, wait." He spun around in the middle of the parking garage. "What? What else do you want to say? That I'm selfish? That I care more about money than my family? That I'm exactly the kind of father who destroys his kid's life?" Harmony stopped walking. Her yellow uniform looked stark under the fluorescent lights, and Tyler could see she was fighting back tears. "I want to say I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I lost my temper, and that wasn't fair. You're scared and hurting, and I made it worse." The fight went out of Tyler as quickly as it had come. He looked at this woman who had spent her evening helping a stranger, who had stayed with his unconscious son, who had driven him here despite his ungrateful attitude. "No, I'm sorry. You've been nothing but kind, and I'm taking my guilt out on you." Tyler ran his hands through his hair. "I don't know how to handle this. I'm used to problems I can solve with money or lawyers or all-nighters. But I can't buy my way out of being a bad father." "You're not a bad father. How can you say that? You don't even know me." Harmony took a step closer. "I know you dropped everything to come when your son was hurt. I know you're beating yourself up for making a mistake. Bad fathers don't do that. Bad fathers forget promises. Bad fathers choose work over their kids every single time. And good fathers learn from their mistakes." Harmony's voice was gentle but firm. "Your son is going to be okay, Tyler. And when he wakes up, he's going to need a father who's ready to do better, not one who's drowning in guilt." Tyler looked down at the drawing in his hands. The stick figures seemed to mock him with their simple happiness. What if he doesn't wake up? What if the last thing I ever said to him was, "Daddy's busy with work right now"? Then you'll live with that. Harmony's words were stark, but her tone was kind. But right now, he's alive. Right now, you have a chance to be the father he needs. Don't waste it feeling sorry for yourself. Tyler stared at her. Your son. The one you lost. What was his name? Harmony's composure cracked slightly. Jeremiah. He was 7. I'm sorry. I can't imagine. Don't. Harmony held up her hand. Don't imagine it. Don't try to understand it. Just love your boy while you can. That's all any of us can do. They stood in the parking garage, two broken people held together by circumstance and a shared need to see Caleb through this crisis. The November wind whistled between the concrete pillars, and in the distance, an ambulance siren wailed. Tyler's phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Rebecca. I'm flying back from the conference. Is Caleb okay? Frank called me. The reminder of his ex-wife sent another wave of shame through Tyler. Rebecca was a pediatric surgeon, brilliant and dedicated, who had begged him for years to prioritize their family. She'd known this day would come. Known that his obsession with work would eventually hurt Caleb. I need to call my ex-wife, Tyler said. She's going to want to know what happened. You should. She's his mother. Tyler hesitated. Will you come in with me? To the hospital? I know I don't have any right to ask, but you're scared, Harmony finished. Terrified. Harmony looked at him for a long moment, seeing past the expensive suit and corporate confidence to the frightened father underneath. Okay, she said. But Tyler. Yeah. When we get in there, you're going to want to blame yourself for everything. You're going to want to make promises you can't keep and beat yourself up for promises you already broke. Don't do that. Just be present. That's what Caleb needs from you right now. Tyler nodded, not trusting his voice. Together, they walked toward the hospital entrance, their footsteps echoing in the empty garage. Above them, Seattle's skyline glittered with 1,000 lights, each one representing someone's life, someone's dreams, someone's promises kept or broken. As they reached the automatic doors, Tyler turned to Harmony one more time. Why are you really doing this? Helping me, I mean. After everything you've been through, why do you care what happens to us? Harmony paused at the threshold of the hospital, her hand resting on the glass door. Because 2 years ago, when Jeremiah was lying in a hospital just like this one, I would have given anything for someone to stay with me, to help me carry the weight of it all. She looked up at Tyler, her eyes bright with unshed tears. I can't bring my baby back, but maybe I can help you keep yours. The emergency room at Seattle Children's Hospital buzzed with controlled chaos. Nurses in colorful scrubs moved between curtained areas while parents clutched sick children and whispered prayers. The smell of antiseptic mixed with coffee from the nearby vending machines, creating an atmosphere of sterile anxiety. Tyler approached the registration desk, his legs unsteady. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and pink scrubs, looked up from her computer. I'm looking for my son, Caleb Bennett. He was brought in by ambulance about an hour ago. Let me check. Her fingers clicked across the keyboard. Yes, he's in Trauma Bay 3. Dr. Mills is with him now. You can speak with her, but visiting will be limited until we know more about his condition. Tyler's stomach clenched. How is he? I'm sorry, I can only give medical information to the doctor. If you'll have a seat in the family waiting area, she'll be out to talk with you soon. Tyler wanted to argue, to demand answers, to use his wealth and influence to bypass hospital protocols. But Harmony's gentle hand on his arm stopped him. Thank you, Harmony told the receptionist. We'll wait. They found 2 chairs in the family waiting area, surrounded by other anxious parents and relatives. Tyler sat rigidly, Caleb's backpack clutched in his lap, while Harmony settled beside him with the quiet patience of someone who had spent many hours in hospital waiting rooms. Tyler pulled out his phone to call Rebecca, but his hands were shaking too badly to dial. Harmony noticed and gently took the phone from him. What's her number? Tyler recited it, watching as Harmony placed the call and handed the phone back to him. Tyler. Rebecca's voice was tight with worry. How is he? Frank told me there was an accident, but he didn't have details. He's in Trauma Bay 3. The doctor hasn't come out yet. Tyler's voice cracked. Beck, it's my fault. He was trying to get to my office. We had plans today, and I forgot. I completely forgot. Oh, Tyler. Rebecca's sigh carried 2 years of accumulated frustration and sadness. I'm at SeaTac now. My flight landed 20 minutes ago. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I'm so sorry. You were right about everything. About me choosing work over family. About me being absent. You were right. We can talk about that later. Right now, I just need our son to be okay. Tyler ended the call and stared at the phone in his hands. Beside him, Harmony sat quietly, giving him space to process. She's coming, Tyler said unnecessarily. That's good. Caleb will want both his parents here. Tyler looked around the waiting room. A Hispanic family huddled together near the windows, the mother crying softly while the father held their toddler. An elderly couple sat holding hands, their faces etched with decades of shared worry. Everyone here was united by the same helpless love for someone they couldn't protect. I don't belong here, Tyler said suddenly. What do you mean? Look at these people. They're real families. They actually spend time together. They know their kids' favorite foods and best friends and what makes them laugh. Tyler's voice grew bitter. I had to ask my assistant last week what grade Caleb was in. What kind of father doesn't know his own son is in 4th grade? Harmony turned in her chair to face him. The kind who can learn. The kind who can change. Can I, though? I've been this way for so long. Obsessed with work, with success, with proving myself. Even after the divorce, even after losing them, I didn't change. I just got worse. Why? Harmony's question was simple, but it cut deep. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Around them, the hospital continued its quiet symphony of beeping monitors and whispered conversations. Because if I stopped working, I'd have to face what I'd lost. If I slowed down, I'd have to admit that I destroyed the best thing in my life for a company that will forget me the day I retire. And your son, where does he fit in all that? He fits in the guilt. Every time I see him, I'm reminded of what a failure I am as a father. So I work more to avoid the feeling, which makes me an even worse father, which makes me work more. Tyler laughed bitterly. It's a perfect cycle of self-destruction. Harmony was quiet, processing his honesty. What would you tell Caleb if he was here right now? That I'm sorry. That I love him more than any business deal or any amount of money. That I want to be the father he deserves. Then tell him that. He's unconscious. So, you think unconscious people can't hear love? Before Tyler could respond, a woman in scrubs approached them. She was in her 40s, with graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail and the confident bearing of someone used to delivering difficult news. Mr. Bennett? I'm Dr. Patricia Mills. I've been treating your son. Tyler shot to his feet, nearly dropping the backpack. How is he? Is he going to be okay? He has a concussion and some bruising, but the CT scan shows no skull fracture or brain bleeding. That's very good news. He's awake now, asking for his daddy. Relief flooded Tyler's system so completely that his knees almost buckled. He's awake. He's talking. Yes, though he's still groggy from the head injury. We'll need to keep him overnight for observation, but I expect a full recovery. Can I see him? Dr. Mills hesitated. Mr. Bennett, I need to ask you some questions first. Caleb has been asking about something called Special Day. He's quite upset that he missed it. Can you tell me what that refers to? Tyler's throat closed up. He looked at Harmony, who nodded encouragingly. We had plans today. Father-son plans. I was supposed to take him to the Space Needle after school, but I forgot. I was in a meeting. The words felt like glass in his throat. He was trying to get to my office building when the accident happened. Dr. Mills studied his face carefully. I see. And this was something you had planned together. 3 weeks ago. He was so excited. He made a drawing. Tyler held up the crumpled paper. He was trying to keep our promise even when I didn't. Mr. Bennett, in cases involving children and accidents, I have to ask these questions. Was this a custody day? Were you supposed to have Caleb today? Yes. His mother and I share custody. Thursdays are my day with him. Dr. Mills nodded, making a note on her chart. Caleb mentioned that his mommy is a doctor too. Is she coming? She's on her way from the airport. Good. He'll want to see both of you. Dr. Mills looked at Harmony, who had been sitting quietly through the conversation. Are you family as well? Tyler started to explain that Harmony was just the cleaning woman who had helped, but something stopped him. Looking at this woman who had comforted his son, who had called him, who had driven him here and sat with him through the worst hour of his life, the word just felt completely wrong. She's. Tyler struggled for the right words. She's the person who saved my son's life. She stayed with him when he was hurt and made sure I knew what happened. Harmony looked surprised at his description, but Dr. Mills smiled. Well, then I think Caleb would like to thank you himself. He's been very worried about the nice lady who helped him. Dr. Mills led them through a maze of corridors to the pediatric wing. The walls here were painted in bright colors, with cartoon characters and inspirational quotes designed to comfort scared children and their families. Before we go in, Dr. Mills said, stopping outside room 314, I want you to know that Caleb has been blaming himself for the accident. He thinks he's in trouble for running away from your driver. He needs to hear that you're not angry with him. Tyler's heart broke a little more. His son was lying in a hospital bed, hurt and scared, worried that his father would be angry at him for desperately wanting to spend time together. He's not in trouble, Tyler said firmly. This is my fault, not his. Then tell him that. Dr. Mills pushed open the door. But remember, he's still recovering. Keep the visit short and calm. The room was dimly lit, with monitors beeping softly beside a small bed. And there, looking impossibly tiny against the white sheets, was Caleb. His head was wrapped in bandages, and there were scrapes on his arms, but his eyes were open and alert. When he saw Tyler, his face lit up despite his obvious pain. Daddy! Caleb's voice was hoarse but filled with pure joy. You came. I was trying to find you for our special day, but I got lost. Tyler rushed to the bedside, careful not to disturb the 4-line in Caleb's small arm. Oh, buddy. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you mad at me for running away from Frank? No, sweetheart. I'm not mad at you at all. I'm mad at myself for forgetting our special day. Can you forgive Daddy for being so stupid? Caleb smiled, the same crooked grin that Tyler remembered from when his son was a toddler. It's okay, Daddy. We can have our special day tomorrow instead. Tyler had to bite his lip to keep from crying. We can have our special day every day if you want. I promise. Every day. Caleb's eyes widened. But what about your work? Tyler looked at his son's hopeful face, then at Harmony standing quietly by the door, then back at Caleb. Work can wait, Tyler said, and for the first time in years, he meant it completely. Nothing is more important than you. Caleb noticed Harmony and tried to sit up. You're the nice lady. You stayed with me when I was scared. Harmony approached the bed slowly. Hi, Caleb. I'm so glad you're feeling better. Daddy, she has a really pretty voice. She sang to me while we waited for the ambulance. Tyler looked at Harmony with surprise. You sang to him? Harmony's cheeks flushed. Just a little. My grandmother's lullaby. It seemed to calm him down. It was the best song ever, Caleb declared. Will you sing it again? Before Harmony could answer, the door burst open and Rebecca rushed in, still wearing her conference clothes and carrying her medical bag. Caleb! She ran to the other side of the bed, her professional composure cracking as she saw her son's bandaged head. Oh, baby, are you okay? Mommy! Guess what? Daddy said we can have a special day every day now. Rebecca's eyes met Tyler's across the bed, and in that moment, all the anger and hurt between them took a back seat to their shared relief that their son was alive. Rebecca's sharp medical eyes took in every detail of Caleb's condition before settling on Harmony with curious concern. Her son was clearly stable and healing, but there was a stranger in the room whom she didn't recognize. Tyler, Rebecca said carefully, still holding Caleb's hand. Who is this? Before Tyler could answer, Caleb piped up from his hospital bed. That's Harmony. She's the one who stayed with me when I was scared. She works in Daddy's building. Rebecca's expression shifted as understanding dawned. You're the one who called Tyler? Yes, ma'am. Harmony stepped back slightly, suddenly conscious of her rumpled yellow uniform in the presence of this polished doctor. I was working in the lobby when the accident happened. Thank you. Rebecca's voice was thick with emotion. Thank you for staying with him. Tyler watched the exchange, feeling the weight of unspoken history between him and Rebecca. They had been married for 8 years, together for 12. Rebecca knew him better than anyone, which meant she could see right through him when he was pretending everything was fine. Beck, we should probably talk, Tyler said quietly. About what happened today. Rebecca nodded, but before she could respond, Dr. Mills appeared in the doorway. I'm sorry to interrupt, but visiting hours are ending soon. Caleb needs his rest, and we want to keep his room calm tonight. I should go, Harmony said immediately. You all need family time. No. Caleb's voice was surprisingly strong. I want Harmony to stay. She promised to sing the lullaby again. Rebecca looked between her son, her ex-husband, and this woman she just met. Something was happening here that she didn't understand, but Caleb's attachment to Harmony was obvious. Maybe we could all use some coffee, Rebecca suggested diplomatically. There's a family lounge down the hall. Tyler, could you stay with Caleb while I talk with? She paused, realizing she didn't know Harmony's last name. Davis. Harmony Davis. While I talk with Harmony for a moment? Tyler started to protest, but Rebecca's look stopped him. She needed answers, and she needed them away from their son. Harmony followed Rebecca down the corridor to a small family lounge with worn couches and a coffee machine that had seen better days. Rebecca poured 2 cups of black coffee and handed one to Harmony before settling into a chair across from her. Tell me what really happened today, Rebecca said gently. Harmony wrapped her hands around the warm cup, gathering her thoughts. Your son was trying to get to his father. The driver brought him from school, but when they arrived at the building, Caleb didn't want to go home. He kept saying he had special plans with his daddy. Rebecca's jaw tightened. Let me guess. Tyler forgot. He was in a meeting. A big business deal. Of course he was. Rebecca rubbed her temples. And Caleb ran into traffic trying to reach him. The little boy was so excited. He had a drawing he made, all about their day together. He just wanted to show his father how much he loved him. Rebecca was quiet for a long moment, staring into her coffee. You have children? Harmony's hands stilled on the cup. I had a son. Jeremiah. He died 2 years ago. I'm so sorry. Rebecca's medical training kicked in, recognizing the particular kind of grief that came with losing a child. Was he sick? Car accident. He was 7. Harmony's voice was steady, but Rebecca could hear the effort it took. He was walking home from school when a drunk driver ran a red light. Rebecca felt her heart clench. As a pediatric surgeon, she'd seen too many families destroyed by preventable tragedies. Were you alone when it happened? Completely. His father wasn't in the picture, and my family is back in Alabama. I spent 3 days in a hospital just like this one, and nobody stayed with me. Nobody held my hand or brought me coffee or told me it would be okay. The pieces clicked together for Rebecca. So when you saw Caleb hurt, I couldn't leave him alone. I couldn't let him be scared by himself. Harmony looked up, meeting Rebecca's eyes. I know it wasn't my place, and I know you don't know me, but I couldn't walk away. Rebecca leaned forward. Harmony, you did exactly the right thing. More than right. You saved my son's life. The paramedics saved his life. I just made sure somebody who loved him knew what happened. You called Tyler when you could have just called 911 and left. You stayed with Caleb when you could have gone back to work. You drove Tyler here when he was too shaken to drive himself. Rebecca's voice was firm. You did far more than your job required. Harmony shifted uncomfortably. Your ex-husband seems like a good man who just got lost somewhere along the way. And your son, He talks about his daddy like he's a superhero. All he wanted was one afternoon together. Rebecca felt the familiar mix of anger and sadness that came with thinking about her failed marriage. Tyler is brilliant and driven and completely obsessed with proving himself. When we first met, that intensity was attractive. He was building something revolutionary, changing the world through technology. What changed? Success changed him. Or maybe it just revealed who he really was underneath. Rebecca sipped her coffee, lost in memory. The bigger the company got, the more he needed to prove he deserved it. 18-hour days became 20-hour days. Family vacations became working trips. Date nights became client dinners. That must have been hard. The worst part was watching Caleb try to compete with a computer for his father's attention. He'd bring Tyler drawings from school, and Tyler would glance at them while typing emails. He'd ask Tyler to play catch, and Tyler would say, "In 5 minutes," and then disappear into his office for 3 hours. Harmony thought about the drawing she'd seen earlier, how carefully Caleb had planned their special day. "How long have you been divorced?" 2 years. I finally realized that I was essentially a single mother married to a workaholic. Caleb was starting to think his father didn't love him, and I couldn't watch that anymore. "Do you think Tyler loves him?" Rebecca was quiet for a moment. "I think Tyler loves the idea of him. I think he loves being able to say he has a son. But I'm not sure he knows how to love Caleb the person, with all his 9-year-old needs and wants and fears." Through the window of the family lounge, they could see Tyler sitting beside Caleb's bed, reading from a book the nurses had provided. Even from a distance, Rebecca could see that something was different about him tonight. His usual restless energy was gone, replaced by focused attention on his son. "He seems different right now," Harmony observed. "Crisis has a way of clarifying priorities. The question is whether it will last." Rebecca studied Harmony's face. "What about you? Are you planning to stay involved in this situation?" The question caught Harmony off guard. "I don't know what you mean." "I mean, Tyler is clearly leaning on you emotionally. And Caleb has obviously bonded with you. I'm just wondering what your intentions are." Harmony felt heat rise in her cheeks. "I don't have any intentions beyond making sure Caleb is okay. I'm a night shift cleaning supervisor, Dr. Sterling. I'm not trying to insert myself into your family." "I didn't mean to imply that you were. I'm just trying to understand the dynamic here." Rebecca's tone softened. "Tyler doesn't usually connect with people easily. The fact that he's letting you help him is unusual. Maybe he just needed someone who wasn't going to judge him for his mistakes." "Is that what you're doing? Not judging him?" Harmony considered the question carefully. "I think he's a man who almost lost the most important thing in his life today. And I think he's scared enough to actually change this time." "What makes you so sure?" "Because I know what it feels like to lose a child. And I've seen the look in parents' eyes when they realize how close they came to that loss. Most people don't get a second chance." Harmony's voice grew quiet. "Tyler got his second chance tonight. The question is what he'll do with it." Rebecca nodded slowly. As a doctor, she'd seen families shattered by tragedy and others brought closer together by near misses. But she'd also seen too many people make promises in crisis moments that they couldn't keep when life returned to normal. "Harmony, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me." "Okay." "Are you helping Tyler because you care about him and Caleb, or because you're trying to heal from your own loss through them?" The question hit like a physical blow. Harmony set down her coffee cup with shaking hands. "I don't know," she admitted. "Maybe both. When I saw Caleb lying on that street, all I could think about was Jeremiah. How he died alone. How nobody stayed with him." Tears started flowing down her cheeks. "Maybe I am trying to save a little boy I couldn't save 2 years ago." Rebecca reached across the table and took Harmony's hand. "That doesn't make what you did less meaningful. Sometimes the best help comes from people who understand the worst-case scenario. But it's not fair to Tyler or Caleb if I'm just using them to work through my own grief." "Are you using them?" Harmony thought about the hours she'd spent with Tyler tonight. The way he'd opened up about his fears and failures. The way Caleb had smiled when she sang to him. The way she'd felt needed and useful for the first time since Jeremiah died. I don't think so. But I also don't know where the line is between helping and getting too involved. Rebecca squeezed her hand. Maybe that's a line you'll figure out together. But Harmony, whatever your reasons for staying tonight, you gave my son something invaluable. You gave him the gift of not being alone when he was scared. As his mother, I will never forget that. Through the window, they watched Tyler lean down to kiss Caleb's forehead. The tenderness in the gesture was unmistakable, and for the first time in years, Rebecca allowed herself to hope that maybe, just maybe, Tyler Bennett was finally ready to be the father their son deserved. But as she looked at Harmony wiping tears from her eyes, Rebecca also realized that this story was becoming more complicated than anyone had expected. The woman who had saved Caleb's life was carrying her own broken heart, and the three of them were about to discover whether shared pain could become shared healing, or whether it would only lead to more heartbreak. Should we go back? Harmony asked, composing herself. In a minute. Rebecca studied her carefully. First, I want you to know that whatever happens between Tyler and me, you'll always be welcome in Caleb's life. What you did tonight makes you family as far as I'm concerned. Harmony felt fresh tears start. Thank you. That means more than you know. The hospital had settled into its quiet overnight rhythm. Most visitors had gone home, leaving only the essential staff and families who couldn't bear to leave their children's sides. Tyler sat in the uncomfortable chair beside Caleb's bed, watching his son's peaceful sleep and marveling at how different everything felt compared to 24 hours ago. Rebecca had left around 11 to get some rest and handle work calls, promising to return first thing in the morning. She'd hugged Tyler goodbye, a gesture that surprised them both with its genuine warmth. You look like you haven't slept in days, she'd said. But you also look more present than I've seen you in years. Don't lose that, Tyler. Now Harmony sat in the chair Rebecca had vacated, her yellow cleaning uniform replaced by a soft gray sweater and jeans that Tyler hadn't seen her change into. He'd been so focused on Caleb that he hadn't noticed when she'd stepped out to the gift shop. You didn't have to stay, Tyler said quietly, not wanting to wake Caleb. You must be exhausted. I called in sick for tonight's shift. First time in 2 years. Harmony smiled slightly. Figured this was more important than mopping floors. Tyler studied her face in the dim light filtering in from the hallway. Can I ask you something? And I want you to be honest with me. Okay. Why are you really here? I know what you told Rebecca about not wanting Caleb to be alone, but there's something else, isn't it? Something about your son. Harmony was quiet for so long that Tyler thought she might not answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. When Jeremiah died, I was at work. Double shift at the hospital where I cleaned back then. He was supposed to be at after-school care, but he decided to walk home instead. Wanted to surprise me with a good grade on his math test. Tyler felt his chest tighten. How old did you say he was? 7. Same bright eyes as Caleb, same way of bouncing when he got excited about something. Harmony's hands twisted in her lap. The police found my work number in his backpack. They called me at the hospital and told me to come to the emergency room. But they wouldn't tell me why over the phone. You must have been terrified. I knew. The moment they said, emergency room, and wouldn't explain, I knew my baby was gone. I could feel it in my bones. Harmony wiped at her eyes. I ran through those hospital corridors just like you ran through traffic tonight. But when I got there... She couldn't finish the sentence, but Tyler understood. The difference between them was that Tyler's desperate race had ended with hope, while Harmony's had ended with devastating finality. I'm so sorry, Tyler said. I can't imagine. The hardest part wasn't losing him. The hardest part was how alone I was afterward. No family nearby, no friends who really understood. Just me and this enormous hole where my little boy used to be. Tyler leaned forward. Is that why you stayed with Caleb tonight? Because you were alone. Partly. But also because when I saw him lying on that street, I saw Jeremiah. And for just a moment, I thought maybe this time I could save him. This time I could make sure he wasn't alone and scared. That's not crazy, Harmony. That's human. Rebecca asked me if I was trying to heal my own grief through you and Caleb. Maybe I am. Maybe that makes me selfish. Tyler was quiet, processing her honesty. Around them, the hospital hummed with its constant activity, but their corner of the pediatric ward felt suspended in time. Can I tell you something? Tyler said finally. Something I haven't admitted to anyone, even myself? Harmony nodded. I think I wanted Caleb to get hurt. The words hung in the air like a confession of the worst kind. Harmony stared at him in shock. Tyler, that's not true. Not consciously. But deep down, some part of me wanted a crisis that would force me to choose between work and family. Because I was too much of a coward to make that choice on my own. Tyler's voice was thick with self-loathing. I've been destroying my relationship with my son, one missed promise at a time, but I couldn't seem to stop. It was like I was addicted to disappointing him. Why would you do that? Because disappointing him felt safer than really trying and still failing. If I barely showed up, then when he inevitably decided I wasn't good enough, it wouldn't hurt as much. Harmony reached across the space between their chairs and took his hand. Her skin was warm and rough from years of hard work, and Tyler found himself gripping it like a lifeline. But he never decided you weren't good enough, she said gently. He kept believing in you, kept hoping. Even today, even when you forgot your promise, he was still trying to reach you. I know. And that makes it worse, doesn't it? His love for me is so pure, so unconditional, and I've been treating it like something disposable. They sat in comfortable silence, their hands intertwined, both lost in their own thoughts about love and loss and second chances. Tyler. Harmony's voice was hesitant. Yeah. What happens now? After Caleb gets better, do you go back to the way things were? Tyler looked at his sleeping son, at the bandages on his small head, at the drawing of their special day lying on the bedside table. I can't. Even if I wanted to, I can't. Something broke in me today when I heard your voice on the phone. Something that needed to be broken. What do you mean? I've spent the last 2 years since the divorce telling myself that work was the most important thing because it was the only thing I was good at. Being a CEO, closing deals, building companies, those were things I could control. But being a father, being a good man, those felt impossible. And now I realize that being good at the wrong things is just another kind of failure. Tyler squeezed her hand. I'd rather fail at being the father Caleb deserves than succeed at being a father he can live without. Harmony smiled, the first real smile Tyler had seen from her all night. That's the most beautiful thing I've heard in a long time. I mean it, Harmony. I'm done with the merger. I'm done with 16-hour days. I'm done putting anything ahead of him. What about your company? You can't just walk away from everything you've built. I'm not walking away. I'm just finally learning what it means to be the boss instead of being owned by the job. I'll hire a president to handle day-to-day operations. I'll restructure my role so I can actually have a life. That's a big change. The biggest. And the scariest. Tyler looked at her seriously. Which brings me to something else I want to ask you. What? I want you to be part of it. Part of Caleb's life, And mine. Harmony pulled her hand back, suddenly uncertain. Tyler, I don't know if that's a good idea. Why not? Because we barely know each other. Because I work for your company. Because this whole situation is emotionally charged and confusing, and we might be making decisions based on trauma instead of real feelings. Tyler nodded slowly. You're probably right. But can I tell you what I do know? Okay. I know that in one night, you've shown me more genuine kindness than I've experienced in years. I know that you stayed with my son when you didn't have to. I know that you're honest about your pain instead of hiding from it. And I know that when I look at you, I see the kind of person I want to become. Tyler. I'm not asking you to fall in love with me, Harmony. I'm not even asking you to date me. I'm asking you to let me get to know you properly. Let me take you to dinner. Let me learn about your life, your dreams, your favorite books and movies and songs. And if it doesn't work out? If we discover we're too different or too damaged or just not compatible? Then we'll figure that out together. But at least we'll know we tried. Harmony looked at Caleb, who had shifted slightly in his sleep but remained peaceful. What does he get out of this? If things between us go wrong, he's the one who gets hurt. He gets to see his father finally trying to build something real instead of hiding behind work. And he gets to keep the woman who sang to him when he was scared. You make it sound simple. Maybe it is simple. Maybe we've been making it complicated because we're both afraid of getting hurt again. Harmony was quiet for a long moment, weighing his words against her fears. Finally, she looked back at him. One dinner. But somewhere normal, not some fancy restaurant where I'll feel out of place. Tyler's face lit up. How about the diner on Pine Street? The one near your building? You know about Murphy's Diner? I used to eat there when I was starting the company, before I could afford better places. Tyler's smile was self-deprecating. Maybe it's time I remembered where I came from. Okay. One dinner at Murphy's. And Harmony? Yeah. Thank you. For saving my son's life. For driving me here. For staying when you didn't have to. For being honest about your pain. For all of it. Harmony felt tears start again, but this time they weren't entirely sad. Thank you for letting me be part of this. For letting me help. Outside Caleb's window, Seattle was beginning to wake up. The early morning shift change was happening, and soon the hospital would fill with the bustling energy of a new day. But in room 314, 3 people were discovering that sometimes the most profound connections are forged in the quiet spaces between crisis and hope. Tyler reached for Harmony's hand again, and this time she didn't pull away. They sat together in the soft darkness, watching over a little boy who had brought them together through his desperate love for his father, neither of them knowing that the hardest part of their story was still to come. Tyler woke to the sound of Caleb's laughter echoing through the hospital room. For a moment, disoriented by the uncomfortable chair and the antiseptic smell, he forgot where he was. Then he saw his son sitting up in bed, animated and bright-eyed, talking excitedly to Harmony about something involving dinosaurs and spaceships. "Daddy!" Caleb called out when he noticed Tyler stirring. Harmony knows all about velociraptors. Did you know they were actually only about 3 feet tall? Tyler smiled, his heart lifting at the sight of his son's obvious recovery. I did not know that, buddy. Are you feeling better this morning? Much better. Dr. Mills said I might get to go home this afternoon if my head stops hurting. Caleb's face grew serious. But Daddy, I was thinking, when I go home, does that mean I won't see Harmony anymore? The innocent question hung in the air, and Tyler caught Harmony's uncertain expression. Before he could answer, Rebecca appeared in the doorway carrying coffee and looking refreshed after a night's sleep in her own bed. Good morning, everyone. How's our patient today? Mommy! Guess what? Harmony brought me dinosaur books from the gift shop, and we're going to have dinner at Murphy's Diner, and Daddy says he's not going to work so much anymore. Rebecca's steps slowed as she processed this information. Her eyes moved from Caleb's excited face to Tyler's slightly defensive expression to Harmony's uncomfortable posture. That's wonderful, sweetheart, Rebecca said carefully. Why don't you tell me more about these dinosaur books while Daddy and I have a quick talk in the hallway? Tyler's stomach dropped. He recognized that tone. It was the same voice Rebecca had used during their marriage when she needed to discuss something serious without alarming Caleb. Beck, maybe we should. Now, Tyler. Harmony stood up quickly. I should probably head home anyway. I need to shower and check in with my supervisor about missing last night. No. Caleb's voice was distressed. You just got here. And you promised to read the Triceratops chapter. I'll come back later if your parents say it's okay, Harmony said gently, but Tyler could see the doubt in her eyes. Rebecca's expression softened as she looked at Harmony. Of course you can come back. Caleb clearly enjoys your company. But Tyler heard what Rebecca wasn't saying. Her smile was polite but strained, and the warmth from last night had been replaced by something more guarded. What about your company? You can't just walk away from everything you've built. I'm not walking away. I'm just finally learning what it means to be the boss instead of being owned by the job. I'll hire a president to handle day-to-day operations. I'll restructure my role so I can actually have a life. That's a big change. The biggest. And the scariest. Tyler looked at her seriously. Which brings me to something else I want to ask you. What? I want you to be part of it. Part of Caleb's life, I mean. And mine. Harmony pulled her hand back, suddenly uncertain. Tyler, I don't know if that's a good idea. Why not? Because we barely know each other. Because I work for your company. Because this whole situation is emotionally charged and confusing, and we might be making decisions based on trauma instead of real feelings. Tyler nodded slowly. You're probably right. But can I tell you what I do know? Okay. I know that in one night, you've shown me more genuine kindness than I've experienced in years. I know that you stayed with my son when you didn't have to. I know that you're honest about your pain instead of hiding from it. And I know that when I look at you, I see the kind of person I want to become. Tyler. I'm not asking you to fall in love with me, Harmony. I'm not even asking you to date me. I'm asking you to let me get to know you properly. Let me take you to dinner. Let me learn about your life, your dreams, your favorite books and movies and songs. And if it doesn't work out? If we discover we're too different or too damaged or just not compatible? Then we'll figure that out together. But at least we'll know we tried. Harmony looked at Caleb, who had shifted slightly in his sleep but remained peaceful. What does he get out of this? If things between us go wrong, he's the one who gets hurt. He gets to see his father finally trying to build something real instead of hiding behind work. And he gets to keep the woman who sang to him when he was scared. You make it sound simple. Maybe it is simple. Maybe we've been making it complicated because we're both afraid of getting hurt again. Harmony was quiet for a long moment, weighing his words against her fears. Finally, she looked back at him. One dinner. But somewhere normal, not some fancy restaurant where I'll feel out of place. Tyler's face lit up. How about the diner on Pine Street? The one near your building? You know about Murphy's Diner? I used to eat there when I was starting the company, before I could afford better places. Tyler's smile was self-deprecating. Maybe it's time I remembered where I came from. Okay. One dinner at Murphy's. And Harmony? Yeah. Thank you. For saving my son's life. For driving me here. For staying when you didn't have to. For being honest about your pain. For all of it. Harmony felt tears start again, but this time they weren't entirely sad. Thank you for letting me be part of this. For letting me help. Outside Caleb's window, Seattle was beginning to wake up. The early morning shift change was happening, and soon the hospital would fill with the bustling energy of a new day. But in room 314, 3 people were discovering that sometimes the most profound connections are forged in the quiet spaces between crisis and hope. Tyler reached for Harmony's hand again, and this time she didn't pull away. They sat together in the soft darkness, watching over a little boy who had brought them together through his desperate love for his father, neither of them knowing that the hardest part of their story was still to come. Tyler woke to the sound of Caleb's laughter echoing through the hospital room. For a moment, disoriented by the uncomfortable chair and the antiseptic smell, he forgot where he was. Then he saw his son sitting up in bed, animated and bright-eyed, talking excitedly to Harmony about something involving dinosaurs and spaceships. "Daddy!" Caleb called out when he noticed Tyler stirring. Harmony knows all about velociraptors. Did you know they were actually only about 3 feet tall? Tyler smiled, his heart lifting at the sight of his son's obvious recovery. I did not know that, buddy. Are you feeling better this morning? Much better. Dr. Mills said I might get to go home this afternoon if my head stops hurting. Caleb's face grew serious. But Daddy, I was thinking, when I go home, does that mean I won't see Harmony anymore? The innocent question hung in the air, and Tyler caught Harmony's uncertain expression. Before he could answer, Rebecca appeared in the doorway carrying coffee and looking refreshed after a night's sleep in her own bed. "Good morning, everyone. How's our patient today?" "Mommy, guess what? Harmony brought me dinosaur books from the gift shop, and we're going to have dinner at Murphy's Diner, and Daddy says he's not going to work so much anymore." Rebecca's steps slowed as she processed this information. Her eyes moved from Caleb's excited face to Tyler's slightly defensive expression to Harmony's uncomfortable posture. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," Rebecca said carefully. "Why don't you tell me more about these dinosaur books while Daddy and I have a quick talk in the hallway?" Tyler's stomach dropped. He recognized that tone. It was the same voice Rebecca had used during their marriage when she needed to discuss something serious without alarming Caleb. "Beck, maybe we should." "Now, Tyler." Harmony stood up quickly. "I should probably head home anyway. I need to shower and check in with my supervisor about missing last night." "No." Caleb's voice was distressed. "You just got here, and you promised to read the Triceratops chapter." "I'll come back later if your parents say it's okay," Harmony said gently, but Tyler could see the doubt in her eyes. Rebecca's expression softened as she looked at Harmony. "Of course you can come back. Caleb clearly enjoys your company." But Tyler heard what Rebecca wasn't saying. Her smile was polite but strained, and the warmth from last night had been replaced by something more guarded. The merger that had seemed so important yesterday felt insignificant compared to the fragile bonds forming in that hospital room. But were those bonds real, or were they just the product of shared trauma and desperation? Tyler closed his eyes and tried to imagine his life a year from now. Would he be sitting in another corporate boardroom, having sacrificed his relationship with Harmony and his promises to Caleb for the sake of business as usual? Or would he be at Murphy's Diner, sharing a meal with a woman who understood his pain and a son who finally felt prioritized? Tyler sat in his BMW in the hospital parking garage, staring at his phone. Jake had called 6 times in the last hour. The board meeting was in 13 minutes, and Tyler was still 20 minutes away from Bennett Tech Tower. His thumb hovered over Jake's contact, but he couldn't bring himself to call back. Through the concrete pillars, he could see the afternoon shift change happening at the hospital. Nurses and doctors walking to their cars, their faces showing the particular exhaustion that came from caring for sick children. Among them, he spotted a familiar yellow uniform. Harmony walked slowly toward her Honda, her shoulders slumped with fatigue. She'd stayed with Caleb for 3 more hours after Rebecca's confrontation, reading dinosaur books and playing quiet games while Tyler paced the hallways like a caged animal. When visiting hours ended, she'd hugged Caleb goodbye and promised to visit again soon. But Tyler had seen the uncertainty in her eyes when she looked at him. Rebecca's words had planted seeds of doubt that were already growing. His phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. "Caleb is asking where you went. What should I tell him?" Tyler closed his eyes and leaned his head against the steering wheel. When he'd left Caleb's room an hour ago, his son had been excited about going home later that afternoon. They'd made tentative plans to order pizza and watch movies together, Tyler's first real attempt at the kind of simple father-son evening he'd been promising for years. But then Jake's calls had started, and Tyler had felt the familiar anxiety of a business crisis demanding his immediate attention. The Meridian deal wasn't just about money anymore. It represented 3 years of work, hundreds of employees' jobs, and the future of the company he'd built from nothing. Tyler started the engine, then turned it off again. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts until he found the number he needed. "Frank, it's Tyler Bennett. I need you to do something for me." "Of course, Mr. Bennett. I'm so sorry about what happened yesterday. I should have been more careful with Caleb." "Frank, yesterday wasn't your fault. Caleb is a determined kid, and when he sets his mind on something." Tyler's voice trailed off. "Listen, I need you to drive Harmony Davis home. She's in the hospital parking garage right now, and she's had a long couple of days." "The cleaning lady who helped Master Caleb?" "Yes. And Frank, treat her like family, because that's what she is now." Tyler ended the call and immediately dialed Jake's number. "Tyler, thank God. Where are you?" "The board is losing their minds, and Meridian's lawyers are already drafting withdrawal papers. Jake, I'm not coming to the meeting. Silence stretched across the line. What do you mean you're not coming? This is the biggest deal in company history. I mean, I'm choosing my son over a business deal. I'm choosing to be present for the people who matter instead of chasing money I don't need. Tyler, you're in shock. You're not thinking clearly. This deal defines our entire future. No, it doesn't. Tyler watched Frank approach Harmony near her car. She looked surprised but accepted his offer of a ride. It defines your future, maybe. But my future is about being the father my son deserves and maybe, if I'm lucky, building something real with a woman who saw me at my worst and decided to help anyway. You're talking about the cleaning woman? Tyler, you met her yesterday. And in one day, she's shown me more genuine kindness than I've experienced in years of corporate relationships. Tyler's voice grew firm. Jake, you handle the Meridian deal. Accept their terms, reject their terms, I don't care. I'm promoting you to CEO effective immediately. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Tyler started the car again, this time with purpose. I'll have the lawyers draw up the paperwork next week. You've been running the day-to-day operations anyway. Now it's official. But the company is your life. No, it was my excuse for not having a life. There's a difference. Tyler ended the call and drove out of the parking garage, but instead of heading toward Bennett Tech Tower, he turned toward the residential area where he knew Harmony lived. Frank would have dropped her off by now, and Tyler needed to have a conversation that couldn't wait. 25 minutes later, Tyler stood outside a modest apartment complex in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. The building was old but well-maintained, with small balconies and flower boxes that suggested people cared about making it home. He found Harmony's apartment number on the directory and pressed the buzzer. Hello. Her voice sounded tired through the intercom. Harmony, it's Tyler. Can we talk? A long pause. Tyler, I don't think that's a good idea right now. Please. I know Rebecca said some things that made you question this, but I need you to hear me out. Another pause. Then the buzzer unlocked the door. Tyler climbed 3 flights of stairs and found Harmony waiting in her open doorway. She'd changed into comfortable clothes, and without the stress of the hospital environment, she looked younger but also more fragile. Come in, she said quietly. Her apartment was small but warm, filled with books and plants and photographs. Tyler noticed a shrine-like area on a side table, a framed photo of a beautiful little boy with Harmony's eyes, surrounded by candles and small mementos. That's Jeremiah, Harmony said, following his gaze. He looks like you. He had his father's stubborn streak, though. Harmony sat on her couch, tucking her legs under her. Tyler, why are you here? Shouldn't you be at work dealing with whatever crisis was blowing up your phone? Tyler remained standing, too nervous to sit. I quit. You what? I promoted Jake to CEO and walked away from the merger. I chose you and Caleb over the deal. Harmony stared at him. Tyler, you can't make decisions like that based on what happened yesterday. You're still processing trauma. Maybe. But I'm also finally processing what matters. Tyler moved closer. Harmony, Rebecca was right about some things. I do have a pattern of using other people's emotions to avoid my own. I did exactly that during our marriage. So why should I believe this is different? Because I'm not asking you to save me. I'm not asking you to fix my relationship with Caleb or make me feel like a good person. I'm asking if you want to figure out what we might be together, starting from zero, with no expectations except honesty. Harmony was quiet for a long moment. Rebecca thinks we're trauma bonding. That what we're feeling isn't real. What do you think? I think I'm scared. I think I've been alone for 2 years, and having someone care about me feels both wonderful and terrifying. Harmony looked up at him. I think maybe I am trying to save the little boy I couldn't save. And I think you might be trying to prove you're not the father you were yesterday. So where does that leave us? Harmony stood and walked to the window overlooking the street. I've been thinking about what you said last night. about learning who I am outside of grief, about letting myself care about someone again. And I realized that I've been existing instead of living for 2 years. Going through the motions but not really being present for my own life. She turned back to him. When I was with you and Caleb last night, I felt present for the first time since Jeremiah died. Tyler felt his heart start to race. What are you saying? I'm saying that maybe trauma bonding is just another way of describing two broken people finding each other. Maybe it doesn't matter how we started if we're honest about where we want to go. Where do you want to go? Harmony smiled, and Tyler saw a glimpse of the woman she might have been before grief changed her. I want to have dinner at Murphy's Diner with a man who's brave enough to change his entire life for his son. I want to see what happens when we're not in crisis mode. I want to find out if what we felt in that hospital room can survive in the real world. Tyler moved closer. And if it can't? Then at least we'll know we tried. At least we'll know we were brave enough to risk something real. Tyler reached for her hands, and she let him take them. Harmony, I need you to know something. Whatever happens between us, I meant what I said about changing my life. Even if you decide you don't want to be part of it, I'm done being the father Caleb deserves better than. I know. I can see it in your eyes. The way you look at him now is different from how you described looking at him before. You helped me see him clearly. You helped me see myself clearly. Maybe we helped each other see clearly. Tyler squeezed her hands. So, dinner tonight? Assuming Caleb gets discharged and settled. Tyler, there's something I need to tell you first. His stomach tightened. What? I already called Murphy's Diner and made a reservation for 3. I was hoping Caleb could come too, if he's feeling up to it. I want to get to know both of you outside the hospital. I want to see how we all fit together when nobody's life is in danger. Tyler felt tears start in his eyes. You want to include him? He's part of you. The best part, from what I can see. If we're going to try this, I want him to feel like he's part of it too, not something we have to work around. Tyler pulled her into his arms, holding her close and breathing in the scent of her shampoo mixed with the lingering smell of hospital antiseptic. Are you sure about this? He whispered. About taking a chance on someone as messed up as me? Are you sure about taking a chance on someone who might be using you to heal from losing her son? Tyler pulled back to look at her face. I'm sure that whatever your reasons for caring about us, the caring itself is real. I'm sure that you've shown more grace and kindness in 2 days than most people show in a lifetime. And I'm sure that I want to spend whatever time you'll give me proving that I can be worthy of that kindness. Harmony reached up and touched his face gently. Then let's go pick up your son and have our first real family dinner. The neon sign of Murphy's Diner cast a warm pink glow across the sidewalk as Tyler, Harmony, and Caleb approached the entrance. Caleb walked between them, his small hand in Harmony's while his other arm was linked through Tyler's. The bandage on his head was smaller now, and though he moved carefully, his excitement was unmistakable. This is where you used to eat when you were poor, Daddy? Caleb asked with the innocent curiosity that only 9-year-olds possessed. Tyler laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in years. I wasn't poor, buddy. I was just getting started. There's a difference. And now you're starting over again? Caleb looked up at him with those wide, trusting eyes that had always been Tyler's weakness. Something like that. Harmony squeezed Caleb's hand gently. Sometimes the best things in life require fresh starts. They found a corner booth with red vinyl seats and a small jukebox on the table. The diner was exactly as Tyler remembered. Checkered floors, chrome fixtures, and the comfortable noise of families sharing simple meals. It felt like coming home to a place he'd forgotten existed. Can I pick the music? Caleb asked, already reaching for the jukebox controls. Of course, Harmony said. What's your favorite song? I don't know the names, but I like the ones that make people happy. Tyler watched Harmony help Caleb navigate the jukebox selections, her patience evident in every gesture. When Caleb finally chose a classic Beatles song, Here Comes the Sun, Tyler felt something click into place. This was what family was supposed to feel like. Not the formal dinners and scheduled activities he'd attempted before, but this easy warmth, this simple joy in each other's company. Their waitress, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and comfortable shoes, approached with menus and a pot of coffee. "Well, aren't you three a beautiful family?" she said with genuine warmth. "First time at Murphy's?" Tyler started to correct her, to explain that they weren't technically a family, but Harmony spoke first. "Not quite, but it feels like home already." The waitress beamed. "That's what we aim for, honey. Can I start you folks with some coffee? And what about you, young man? Chocolate milk?" "Yes, please." Caleb's enthusiasm was infectious. "And can I have pancakes for dinner? Daddy said today was special, so maybe dinner can be special too." "Pancakes for dinner coming right up," the waitress said with a wink. As she walked away, Tyler realized that this moment, sitting in a modest diner with a woman he'd known for 36 hours and his son who almost died trying to reach him, was the most content he'd ever felt. There were no phones ringing, no urgent emails, no pressure to be anywhere else or anyone else. "Daddy!" Caleb's voice was thoughtful. "Are you and Harmony going to get married?" Tyler nearly choked on his coffee while Harmony's eyes went wide with surprise. "Caleb, that's not really something we can answer right now," Tyler said carefully. "Harmony and I are just getting to know each other." "But you like her, right? And she likes you. I can tell because you both get smiley when you look at each other." Harmony laughed, her cheeks flushing pink. "You're very observant, Caleb. Yes, we like each other. But liking someone and getting married are very different things." "Did you like my mom when you married her, Daddy?" The question hung in the air, loaded with the weight of Tyler's failed marriage and his son's confusion about love and commitment. Tyler looked at Harmony, who nodded encouragingly. "I did like your mom, buddy. I loved her very much. But sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Sometimes they don't know how to show their love properly, or they get distracted by other things." "Like work." "It's exactly like work." Caleb considered this seriously. "But you're not going to make the same mistakes with Harmony, right? Because she's really nice, and she stayed with me when I was scared." Tyler felt his throat tighten with emotion. "I'm going to try my very best not to make the same mistakes. But Caleb, even if Harmony and I decide we want to be together, it doesn't mean I love you any less. You'll always be the most important person in my life." "Can't you both be the most important?" Harmony reached across the table and took Tyler's hand. "Your daddy is right that you'll always be the most important person to him, because you're his son. But maybe, if we're very lucky, we can all be a family together. Different kinds of important, but all important." The waitress returned with their food, and they settled into the comfortable rhythm of a shared meal. Caleb told elaborate stories about his favorite dinosaurs while Harmony listened with genuine interest, and Tyler marveled at how natural this all felt. As the evening progressed, Tyler noticed other families around them. A young couple with twin toddlers, struggling to keep the peace while they ate. An elderly man dining alone, reading a newspaper with methodical precision. A teenage girl having dinner with her grandmother, both of them laughing at something on the girl's phone. Each table represented different seasons of life, different configurations of love and family and human connection. Tyler realized that for the first time in his adult life, he wasn't studying these people as potential business opportunities or networking contacts. He was simply appreciating the beautiful ordinariness of their lives. "Penny for your thoughts," Harmony said softly. "I was thinking about how different this feels from any dinner I've had in years. How peaceful it is. Is that good or bad?" "It's perfect." Tyler looked at Caleb, who was carefully constructing the perfect bite of pancake and syrup. "I've spent so long chasing the next big thing that I forgot how good the simple things could be." "The simple things are usually the most important ones," Harmony agreed. "Jeremiah taught me that. He could find joy in anything. A puddle after rain, an interesting shaped cloud, the way light hit the kitchen table in the morning." "Do you think he would have liked Caleb?" Harmony's eyes grew soft. "I think they would have been best friends. They both have that same curiosity about the world, that same generous spirit." "Harmony!" Caleb looked up from his pancakes. Will you tell me about Jeremiah sometime? I want to know about him. I'd like that very much, Harmony said, her voice thick with emotion. Tyler watched this exchange and felt something profound shift in his understanding of what they were building together. This wasn't just about him and Harmony finding each other. It was about honoring the family they'd lost and celebrating the family they were creating. Jeremiah would always be part of Harmony's story, just as Rebecca would always be part of Tyler's. But that didn't make their new beginning any less real or meaningful. As they finished dinner, Tyler's phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. How did the family dinner go? Caleb texted me a picture of his pancakes. Tyler showed the message to Harmony and Caleb. Mom wants to know how dinner went. Tell her it was the best dinner ever. Caleb said immediately. And tell her Harmony knows all about velociraptors and she's going to teach me how to make her grandmother's biscuits. Tyler typed the message exactly as Caleb dictated it, then added his own note. Thank you for pushing me to be honest about my feelings. You were right about a lot of things, but you were wrong about this. It's real, Beck. And it's good for all of us. Rebecca's response came quickly. I can hear the happiness in Caleb's voice. Maybe I was wrong. I'm glad. As they prepared to leave the diner, the waitress approached with a small bag. A little something for the road, she said with a wink. Fresh cookies for the young man, and my card for you folks. You come back any time. Families like yours make this old place feel young again. Outside the diner, the November air was crisp but not unpleasant. Seattle's skyline glittered in the distance, including the Space Needle that had started this whole journey. Daddy! Caleb looked up at the familiar landmark. Can we still go to the Space Needle tomorrow? For our real special day. Tyler knelt down to Caleb's level. Buddy, we can go to the Space Needle anytime you want. But can I tell you a secret? What? Every day I get to spend with you is a special day. I'm sorry it took me so long to figure that out. Caleb threw his arms around Tyler's neck. I love you, Daddy. Even when you forget things. Even when you work too much. I love you always. Tyler held his son close, breathing in the scent of his hair and marveling at the unconditional nature of a child's love. When he stood up, Harmony was watching them with tears in her eyes. That's beautiful, she said softly. You're beautiful, Tyler replied, surprising himself with honesty. Both of you. This whole crazy, unexpected day has been beautiful. Harmony stepped closer and, for the first time since they'd met, kissed him softly. It was gentle and sweet and full of promise. So what happens now? She asked when they pulled apart. Now we take it one day at a time, Tyler said. We learn about each other. We build something real. We give Caleb the stable, loving family he deserves. And we see where this goes. And if it gets scary? If the real world tries to convince us this was all just trauma and desperation. Tyler took her hand and Caleb's hand, linking the three of them together. Then we remind ourselves that the best things in life are always a little scary. And we remember that we're braver together than we ever were apart. As they walked down Pine Street toward Tyler's car, Caleb skipping between them, Tyler felt a peace he'd never experienced before. Tomorrow there would be challenges. Jake would need guidance running the company. Rebecca would need reassurance about the changes in Caleb's life. Harmony would have to navigate her own fears about loving again. But tonight, for the first time in years, Tyler Bennett was exactly where he belonged. Not in a boardroom or behind a computer screen, but walking down a Seattle street with his son and a woman who had taught him that sometimes the most important calls are the ones from unknown numbers. Daddy! Caleb's voice was thoughtful. Are you and Harmony going to get married? Tyler nearly choked on his coffee while Harmony's eyes went wide with surprise. Caleb, that's not really something we can answer right now, Tyler said carefully. Harmony and I are just getting to know each other. But you like her, right? And she likes you. I can tell because you both get smiley when you look at each other. Harmony laughed, her cheeks flushing pink. You're very observant, Caleb. Yes, we like each other. But liking someone and getting married are very different things. Did you like my mom when you married her, Daddy? The question hung in the air, loaded with the weight of Tyler's failed marriage and his son's confusion about love and commitment. Tyler looked at Harmony, who nodded encouragingly. "I did like your mom, buddy. I loved her very much. But sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Sometimes they don't know how to show their love properly, or they get distracted by other things. Like work. It's exactly like work." Caleb considered this seriously. "But you're not going to make the same mistakes with Harmony, right? Because she's really nice, and she stayed with me when I was scared." Tyler felt his throat tighten with emotion. "I'm going to try my very best not to make the same mistakes. But Caleb, even if Harmony and I decide we want to be together, it doesn't mean I love you any less. You'll always be the most important person in my life. Can't you both be the most important?" Harmony reached across the table and took Tyler's hand. "Your daddy is right that you'll always be the most important person to him, because you're his son. But maybe, if we're very lucky, we can all be a family together. Different kinds of important, but all important." The waitress returned with their food, and they settled into the comfortable rhythm of a shared meal. Caleb told elaborate stories about his favorite dinosaurs while Harmony listened with genuine interest, and Tyler marveled at how natural this all felt. As the evening progressed, Tyler noticed other families around them. A young couple with twin toddlers, struggling to keep the peace while they ate. An elderly man dining alone, reading a newspaper with methodical precision. A teenage girl having dinner with her grandmother, both of them laughing at something on the girl's phone. Each table represented different seasons of life, different configurations of love and family and human connection. Tyler realized that for the first time in his adult life, he wasn't studying these people as potential business opportunities or networking contacts. He was simply appreciating the beautiful ordinariness of their lives. "Penny for your thoughts," Harmony said softly. "I was thinking about how different this feels from any dinner I've had in years. How peaceful it is. Is that good or bad?" "It's perfect." Tyler looked at Caleb, who was carefully constructing the perfect bite of pancake and syrup. "I've spent so long chasing the next big thing that I forgot how good the simple things could be." "The simple things are usually the most important ones," Harmony agreed. "Jeremiah taught me that. He could find joy in anything. A puddle after rain, an interesting shaped cloud, the way light hit the kitchen table in the morning." "Do you think he would have liked Caleb?" Harmony's eyes grew soft. "I think they would have been best friends. They both have that same curiosity about the world, that same generous spirit." "Harmony!" Caleb looked up from his pancakes. "Will you tell me about Jeremiah sometime? I want to know about him." "I'd like that very much," Harmony said, her voice thick with emotion. Tyler watched this exchange and felt something profound shift in his understanding of what they were building together. This wasn't just about him and Harmony finding each other. It was about honoring the family they'd lost and celebrating the family they were creating. Jeremiah would always be part of Harmony's story, just as Rebecca would always be part of Tyler's. But that didn't make their new beginning any less real or meaningful. As they finished dinner, Tyler's phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. "How did the family dinner go?" "Caleb texted me a picture of his pancakes." Tyler showed the message to Harmony and Caleb. "Mom wants to know how dinner went." "Tell her it was the best dinner ever," Caleb said immediately. "And tell her Harmony knows all about velociraptors and she's going to teach me how to make her grandmother's biscuits." Tyler typed the message exactly as Caleb dictated it, then added his own note. "Thank you for pushing me to be honest about my feelings. You were right about a lot of things, but you were wrong about this. It's real, Beck. And it's good for all of us." Rebecca's response came quickly. "I can hear the happiness in Caleb's voice. Maybe I was wrong. I'm glad." As they prepared to leave the diner, the waitress approached with a small bag. "A little something for the road," she said with a wink. "Fresh cookies for the young man, and my card for you folks. You come back any time. Families like yours make this old place feel young again." Outside the diner, the November air was crisp but not unpleasant. Seattle's skyline glittered in the distance, including the Space Needle that had started this whole journey. "Daddy!" Caleb looked up at the familiar landmark. Can we still go to the Space Needle tomorrow? For our real special day. Tyler knelt down to Caleb's level. Buddy, we can go to the Space Needle anytime you want. But can I tell you a secret? What? Every day I get to spend with you is a special day. I'm sorry it took me so long to figure that out. Caleb threw his arms around Tyler's neck. I love you, Daddy. Even when you forget things. Even when you work too much. I love you always. Tyler held his son close, breathing in the scent of his hair and marveling at the unconditional nature of a child's love. When he stood up, Harmony was watching them with tears in her eyes. That's beautiful, she said softly. You're beautiful, Tyler replied, surprising himself with honesty. Both of you. This whole crazy, unexpected day has been beautiful. Harmony stepped closer and, for the first time since they'd met, kissed him softly. It was gentle and sweet and full of promise. So what happens now? She asked when they pulled apart. Now we take it one day at a time, Tyler said. We learn about each other. We build something real. We give Caleb the stable, loving family he deserves. And we see where this goes. And if it gets scary? If the real world tries to convince us this was all just trauma and desperation? Tyler took her hand and Caleb's hand, linking the three of them together. Then we remind ourselves that the best things in life are always a little scary. And we remember that we're braver together than we ever were apart. As they walked down Pine Street toward Tyler's car, Caleb skipping between them, Tyler felt a peace he'd never experienced before. Tomorrow there would be challenges. Jake would need guidance running the company. Rebecca would need reassurance about the changes in Caleb's life. Harmony would have to navigate her own fears about loving again. But tonight, for the first time in years, Tyler Bennett was exactly where he belonged. Not in a boardroom or behind a computer screen, but walking down a Seattle street with his son and a woman who had taught him that sometimes the most important calls are the ones from unknown numbers.